think holly leaves are too tricky for watercolour pencils, it's actually a lot easier than you think, and I'm going to show you a really easy, simple method that anyone can follow. Come and join me. Hello, welcome. So this is leaf 6 out of a little series that I've been doing on how to create loose leaves using watercolour pencils. And this week we're going to be focusing on some holly leaves and a few berries because they come with holly. I'm still using the Caran d'Arche watercolour pencils. I always miss out Swiss colour, so they're actually Caran d'Arche Swiss colour watercolour pencils. I'm going to be honest, I did practice this one a little bit, and this is what I came up with. So we're going to sort of use the same technique that I used in that to create this, where again, same thing, start off with light colours and then gradually build up to the darker colours, and then activate that with water a little bit later on. So let me show you the process that I'm using. As you can see here, I'm just starting off with the centre of the leaf, sort of naturally creating the centre of the leaf, which is the vein. So I'm not drawing the exact leaf to start off with. I know we've got those prickly bits. They curve, prickly, curve. That's the shape of a holly leaf. By the way, I'm Shanaz. This is Bloom Art by SW. Thank you for being here. And if you have missed the previous leaves, I will leave you the links in the description box so that you can have a look at those. Also, I've just realised the chair I'm sitting on, every time I move ever so slightly, you can hear it. Oh, you can't hear it now. Oh, there we go. So I do apologise if you can hear that. I didn't know that was happening, and I was trying to figure out what on earth is that noise. So that's what that is in the background. So as I've mentioned, I have started off with quite light colours, which is going to be the centre of the leaves. I'm just hoping you can see that clearly on the video. When I watch YouTube videos, I tend to watch the majority on either the TV, if I'm at home, or sometimes the iPad. I don't actually watch them on my mobile phone. So I'm interested to know, when you watch art tutorials or watercolour tutorials or any kind of painting at all, what device do you watch them on? Your phone, TV, iPad or laptop? Do people watch them on laptop or desktop computers? I'd be interested to know. I know we've got analytics and stuff like that, but I want to hear it directly from you, real people. Let me know in the comments where you actually watch your YouTube videos. When I created some of the other leaves, I used one colour to put down as a base colour. In this one, I feel like I'm putting down a mixture of colours to make up the base colour. So that's the difference that I'm doing with holly leaves. The colours that I've got in the Caran d'Arche set, there's actually 40 colours, and that's why I've got quite a few different shades of greens. They're absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love them, by the way. I'm obsessed with these watercolour pencils. But what I was going to say is, if you haven't got this many colours, or you haven't got so many greens, you've got your blues and your yellows, which make up green, so you can always use those instead. I'm using quite a light pressure just to get the first layer down, and I'm not pressing on too hard at all. I don't think you can see that in the video, but I'm not pressing down too hard at all, and I'm just shading in very lightly. And it's not really in big blocks of colour, it's just small blocks of colour, if you like. And I'm just trying to sort of build up the layers, and then that way we build up the tone and make it look a bit more 3D. But we're going to add those spiky points in a bit later on. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If you make a mistake, do not worry, because the great thing about watercolour pencils is that we can come back to it and amend it or tweak it ever so slightly. So when you are happy with your first layer, get your brush. I'm just using an Escoda size 8 brush, it's got a nice little point on it, and just have a cloth or paper towel to hand with a very light bit of water, not too wet, not too dry. And then all I'm doing is just activating the pigment that is on the paper, and it makes it a bit brighter, it makes it stand out a bit more. We can use the pointy bit of our brush to start making those curvy shapes that you see on the holly leaves. So it's not quite defined as yet, we're going to do that later. All we're doing here now is just getting the base shape and getting an idea of where things are going to go. That's why I coloured in the way I coloured in. I'm hoping that makes sense for you. I'm being a bit careful as well not to go over that centre, because that's formed really nicely, the centre of the leaf, the veins there. So I'm really liking that at the minute. Take your time with it. You don't need to rush. If you've only got 10 minutes, then just do 10 minutes worth of colouring in or activating it with water. You don't have to do this whole lot in one go. Take your time, make sure you enjoy the process, because art or watercolours, I don't think it has to necessarily be a quick process, but if you are a beginner, you are going to be potentially looking for very quick results, and sometimes you're not going to see the results straight away. And I think sometimes colouring in, drawing, painting, any sort of creative, if you're crafty, it doesn't, crafty as in craftwork, not crafty as in suspicious, crafty as in being creative with your hands, with your fingers, then it takes time. There's so many things that we can do really quickly. There's certain things that you just need to take your time on it. Having said that about taking your time, I am just going to speed this bit up for you, only because it is doing exactly the same thing. It is creating those curves and those pointy bits in exactly the same way. So I've sped this bit up, but I'm hoping you get the idea. It is exactly the same. I did decide, I know this was about leaves, but I did decide to add some berries on as well, and it just makes sense and it just completes the picture a little bit. So all I'm literally doing here is just loosely drawing some circles and then marking out where you get the shiny bits. You know, you get the shiny bits on the berries, and I'm just putting in a few of those in. I am colouring these in exactly the same way, just different shades of red to start off with, and then a few extra colours, or pressing down a bit more just for tonal value. I have sped this bit up as well because it is exactly the same thing. You can still see exactly what I'm doing, and again, same thing, just keep it nice and light. Take your time with it though. I'm just using this video to show you what I'm doing, but please do take your time with it. I ended up adding some more berries in as well, as you can see. Feel free to do what you feel is right for your picture. Okay, so I'm adding some water in now. Be careful you don't go over that white area. That's your highlight of the berries. So just be careful you don't go over that. I think it's really important to use a brush which has got a nice pointy bit for this very reason, so that you can get into smaller areas. Obviously a larger area, use a larger brush, but for small paintings like this, then definitely a brush with a decent point on the end is really good. We're doing the same thing, so I'm going to speed that up for you. Once you're happy with that, we're going to leave that to dry and then come back to it. Because we're not using a lot of water, it only takes about 5-10 minutes or so. I don't think you need any more than that unless you have used a lot of water. In that case, you may need to wait a little bit longer. So we are working on the second layer now, and I'm using the pencil to start defining the edges of the leaf a bit more. And here's where I'm using the edges just to create those spiky bits. If you do want to, you can draw this to start off with if that makes it a bit easier for you. But the whole point of my little series is to be able to create these without having to do too much drawing. If you need a little bit of a guideline, then yeah, absolutely 100% do that. I have got some leaf outlines on my Etsy page, not specifically this drawing, but just leaves outlines in general. If that is something you want to look at, I'll leave you the link in the description box and you can have a look at those and see if they're any good for you. I am using different shades of green. I'm still varying the pressure that I'm putting down as well to try and create some 3D-ness and some tonal values as well, just to make it look not too realistic, because as I've said, this isn't about creating realistic drawings. This is more about experimenting with watercolour pencils and just seeing what they can and can't do. So far, I've been really happy with them. If you have been struggling with normal watercolour paints, then watercolour pencils might be a way forward for you. Just maybe give them a try if that's something you don't have at the moment. Definitely give them a try and see what you can do with them, because like I say, I just think they're brilliant. I've got the 40 set and I also swatched a tree with them as well, with all 40 colours. Again, I'll leave you the link in the description box so that you can have a look at those. But definitely check out that tree after this video, because the results, I was amazed. I quite like how you get these little bits that sort of naturally form, like this circle here and this circle here. If that happens on your picture, keep them in because they do look like a real leaf. Even though we're not going for realism, they still do look really effective on the leaf. I'm going to speed this bit up because it is the same thing. I'm also using the time to add some veins in there now and start defining a bit more of the veins within the leaves as well. You might need a sharper pencil for this, so keep your pencil nice and sharpened for this bit. For the other bits, it's not so bad. It's not too bad if you haven't got a really sharp pencil, but definitely for these veins, it's worth having a sharper pencil. I'm adding some browns in just to make it a bit darker down the bottom here, and just to again make it a bit more defined. Shadows are what make a picture. I feel like you need to have some dark areas the same as some lighter areas. You need a mix to go in with the overall composition. And then I'm also going to add in some browns on the edges of the leaves as well, make those stand out a bit more. And then when you're ready, we can go in with our brush again and just activate these little bits a final time. And you can see that they are sort of making the pigment stand out a bit more with the water, and that we'll just do these final bits. And that's it. This is the final look. Of course, I went in and decided to do a background. I'm just going to do that really quickly. The same as the last video, I'm just using a black. I'm just going very lightly and some blue. Just going very lightly over the background and just activating that with water. I didn't do too much. I didn't want the focus to be on the background. It's just a light one. It's entirely up to you if that is what you want to do. And I just couldn't help myself. I had to just add a few more bits in just to make it stand out a bit more. Again, it's entirely up to you what you choose to do in your little picture, your composition. I'm just showing you some options that you can carry on with it and just make it stand out a bit more if you would like. I obviously felt like I needed to do that. And this is the final look. And that concludes our little series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.